Welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name is Liv. Let's go ahead and dive into the new moon in Virgo using the whole sign house system. All right, so we got the new moon in the fifth house, and right off the bat, it is opposing Saturn in Pisces. Anytime the new moon comes across to be in Virgo, or anytime the moon is in Virgo, I always take it as a time to clean and get everything in order. In general, that's a very known energy of Virgo. But when I look at the new moon in its position, the way that it is in the fifth house, but in general, with the aspects that it has, it feels very scorpionic in a sense that, or maybe I should say, very Piscean. There's an element here that wants to just give me the energy of water. I understand that we're in the fifth house, but there's this sense of we are in a resting phase. And while we go through and we get our affairs in order, it's almost like cleaning with music, but instead of upbeat music, having a somber playlist that is just bringing out this romantic feeling while you're cleaning. And that is immediately what comes through to me when I think of Saturn as it's currently retrograded opposing the sun and the moon. Because of the new moon, that lunar phase is the seed of something. It is planting an idea and combining the two feelings of I want to be somewhere 2 to 3 weeks from now, while also I'm in the safety of what could be my comfort. That Saturn opposing the moon and sun conjunction is really like I want to be so much better than I am now. And while I am not seen for what it is that I possess, I will be there in the future. And that's why I'm debating calling it a 12th house energy or an 8th house energy in a sense. The 12th house is harboring Aries, and we see that Mars is squaring Neptune at the same time. So the two of these for me is important. Having Aries in your 12th house, it's definitely about finding yourself as you age. And also with the North Node there opposing Venus that's in Libra, that's a doozy. When you look at Venus in this chart and its position, we just got Venus back and it's already going to war. um, and that really just feels as though, in order to truly accept yourself and to find your balance, to find out who you are in your everyday, you're gonna have to fight. And that fighting is probably gonna cost you some of the things that people perceive you as, right? The Saturn in this chart configuration squaring Jupiter as it has previously started that, but specifically in this chart's energy is just really saying the things that I need to acquire, I'm gonna have to sacrifice people to get there. Doesn't mean that you have to quite literally sacrifice them physically, right? I'm not advocating anything crazy, but it is in order to get there, I have so many goals that if I do want to get there, things have to give because you need a balance between Jupiter and Saturn for it to work, especially in these two elements where Jupiter wants so much more in Gemini in order to make it work. And Saturn is like, well, we can just make it work. You just have to believe when it's in these placements and it has this configuration. So Neptune in the 29th degree, as we know, it is retrograding. And Uranus in Taurus, this energy's been here for a while. It's nothing new. But when I look at this energy and I think about the 29th degree of Gemini coming into play, these three have an interesting interaction to me. Although not a specific aspect pattern, I just think about it and saying, hey, you know a lot of people and you've known a lot of people for quite some time. Now is a good time to not know as much people. Now is a good time to reclude, re- become reclusive, and really analyze what defined you once again. And that's where the definition of who you are comes into play. And I just can't help but think to go back to that North Node and the Venus. This is a war, right? Whatever it is for you in your life with your everyday and your personal subconscious identity, that's a war. And you're going to have to fight it. And it's going to be hard because in this chart, the descendant is in Scorpio. And that is very much getting in tune with your shadow side. Now, natally, if you have any placements in that descendant, that's even more of an emphasis that you should recluse and truly understand how your interpersonal relationships are going, right? If you do have any Scorpio placements here, understand that, especially late degrees, that is opposing this uh, Uranus and Taurus as we're having this transit, and it's going to sextile the new moon in that fifth house. So having to disappear in order to make sure you can reappear in full health is necessary in this period of time, like quite literally for your survival, as that seventh house contracts, whether it's a business dissolving, a relationship ending, marriage being dissolved, friends feeling like they're not really truly your friends, you're going to have to do that. At the top of the chart, on the midheaven, we have Pluto and Capricorn. Yikes. It's not completely, obviously, into the 10th house, but it's conjuncting the midheaven. So, a sense of destruction because we are seeing the true foundation of what it is that we've been going through and how unrealistic it is. Capricorn sextiling the Neptune in the 11th house here is telling you, hey, once again, you're going to have to weigh your options and see what's truly for you. The inconjunct to Mars in Gemini in the second is saying, hey, you're going to have to weigh these options again because what you think to actually be helpful to you is actually burning out your energy. The Mars in Gemini is saying you can put your hands in so many different resources and pockets, but it's not really helping. Where are you truly in your current state of affairs, right? And so when we go back to that new moon, it really just puts it all together to say, hey, let's go back into the dark and let's really reanalyze this. We have Mercury in Leo right now, and it is leaving to go back to Virgo. With Mercury being here in the fourth, this really just comes back and says, my needs are paramount, and I must defend them, and I must have what it is that I need. And especially if you do have fixed placements, understand that there is going to be squares with this in an opposition with the Aquarian placement here. So you really need to be okay to just say, I am the center of attention. However, I'm not going to bring attention to myself from other people. I will create that for myself where I just simply choose me. This new moon is not the most difficult. It's actually pretty somber as long as you realize that the energy here is requiring you to just stay to yourself, be to yourself, and filter through what you do and do not need. Because later on this month, that eclipse full moon is going to be just as energetically the same, but it's going to be shadowed. That full moon and eclipse is going to be a shadow. And so the events that are going to happen out there may not be fully understood. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed and good luck.